Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Focus. We're very fortunate this morning to have with us Captain William Holdman of the Salvation Army here in Lake County, Illinois. Good morning, Captain Holdman.
Good morning.
We're very happy that you've taken time for your busy schedule to be with us to let Lake County know all about the mission, goals, and objectives of the Salvation Army. I don't know how many up at 5 a.m. this morning to listen to the program, but I understand we have a pretty good audience there. So, Captain Holdman, I will be learning and listening right along with my listening audience, learning all there is about the Salvation Army. But first of all, I'd like for you to tell our listening audience a little bit about your personal and professional background.
Well, my personal background is I was actually born in Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
And born and raised in the suburbs of Detroit. Mm-hmm. And I'm a fifth-generation Salvationist, which means my family goes back to probably about the beginnings of the Salvation Army. Mm-hmm. And my wife is actually a fourth-generation officer.
Okay.
Before becoming a Salvation Army officer 15 years ago now, mm-hmm. I was an electric control systems designer, which is where I had a vocation designing electric control systems for machines, mm-hmm. and troubleshooting them and doing all those things that you do as an electrical designer. So
was that part of the automotive industry that you were part of, since you're from Detroit?
Yeah. I had many opportunities to be in many automotive plants for the companies that I worked for, mm-hmm. and so on. And actually, before I became a Salvation Army officer, I had my own business for 2 years. Okay.
Well, tell us about the Salvation Army now. What I know, besides being a fifth generation salvation in the family there, but what unique that piqued your interest to get involved with the Salvation Army?
Well, like I said, I'm a fifth generation Salvationist, so I was pretty much born into it, and so really it's all I've known. Mm-hmm. What caused me to become an officer was God calling me into the ministry. Okay. He gave me a desire for saving the souls of people. So actually,
Salvation Army is ministerial then, right?
Yeah, it's very ministerial. It's a lot of their mission is actually goes right along with that. Our mission statement very clearly says that we are an international evangelical movement, and whose message is based on the Bible. But this is the part I love of our mission statement, is that our ministry is motivated by the love of God. There's many people that I come in contact with around the communities in which I've served, to where they ask me the simple question of saying, how does the Salvation Army keep, doing what they're doing at such a high level of efficiency? And I said it's because of our love for God, and because it is God's love that moves us in that direction and motivates us. And then the last part of our mission statement says that our mission is to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ and to meet human needs without discrimination. Some of the difficulty with knowing what the Salvation Army actually does is because we have such a strong presence in our social service area, to where we meet the needs of the people in our communities. And a lot of people don't know that the Salvation Army is actually a church. And we have Sunday services every Sunday, and anyone's welcome to come and worship God in the same way.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're talking with Captain William Holdman of the Salvation Army in Lake County. And Captain Holdman, Jesus himself was all about social services, if you want to look at it that way, right?
He healed the sick. He healed lame, made the lame to walk, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that, but how do you recruit? Volunteers is probably a great part of the organization, but how you recruit volunteers become a part?
Just trying to get people to come alongside our mission. Obviously, we're out in the community, and people see the good things that we're doing, and so that's mainly our volunteers come through word of mouth.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that you're professionally dressed, and so people can't miss you. But most people know you by the ringing of the bells. Now, give us a little history about the ringing of the bells. And that's mostly, I guess, Christmas time, right?
Yeah, it's at Christmas time. There are other times when I've seen other Salvation Army facilities that have done special fundraisers, like Christmas in July or something like that.
Okay.
To where they might put a kettle out at a certain location. But yeah, mostly Christmas kettles is at Christmas time. It is our number one fundraiser that we do, and in most Salvation Army facilities, it's probably about 75% of their total income budget. For
Why Christmas time?
Well, we try to focus on Christ's birth and the whole thing of giving at Christmas and so on, and trying to meet the needs of the people again.
Where are you located in Lake County?
We're located at 850 South Green Bay Road.
Okay.
That's in Waukegan, Illinois. And we're between Belvedere and 10th Street.
Okay. Green Bay Road, I guess, will you call that your home office then? Corporate office?
Yeah, well, that's our home office. Our divisional, we all fall under a divisional office, which is based out of Chicago, and they're on Pulaski Road in Foster and Pulaski.
Okay.
And that's where they're located.
And the number of, I guess maybe the staff that you have is that at the office there to run the organization.
We have about. We have 5 staff members. There's a volunteer coordinator. There's a youth minister. There is a social service director. There's a maintenance man. And then there's my wife and I.
I wonder, how do people find out about Salvation Army to come there for service, sir?
Well, that's not a difficult thing to do. Many people know that the Salvation Army helps. Catholic Charities we're part of a consortium that comes together to help with people in need. Catholic Charities, Community Action Partnership, Maristella, all these organizations are part of a consortium in Lake County, and we try to pool our resources. But the need is so great out there that we really need people to support our goals and mission.
Captain Holdman, how prevalent is the need for your services in Lake County?
Well, it's really prevalent. Obviously, we're in a down economy. People are hurting. What we've seen over the past probably 3 or 4 years is that not only people of lower income are coming to us for help, but it's even moving up to the middle class and upper middle class. With people coming to the Salvation Army and all these social service agencies in the area and trying to get assistance. Houses being foreclosed on and people having to move into smaller dwellings, and people are hurting all around Lake County.
I mentioned that because I attended a forum last Thursday, it was, and the Shields Township came to North Chicago. to have their meeting because I guess probably because of transportation problems, people couldn't get down to Shields, so they came, and they decided they were going to eliminate social grants to the residents of Shields Township. Now I wonder is maybe you should have attended that meeting, to let them know that there's a dire need, not only just in North Chicago for social grants, but all over Lake County, pockets in Lake County. Huh?
Oh, yeah. We've seen an increase in areas like Grays Lake and Round Lake and even Mundelein and even some people coming to us from Lake Bluff.
Oh, okay.
So
it's amazing.
The need is out there, and if I can't speculate or comment on what's happening in Shields County, but
Shields Township, yeah.
Shields Township.
Yeah, they voted not to give. So evidently, we needed someone like you to come to the meeting to let them know that there is a dire need, not only just in North Chicago, but like you mentioned, Grays Lake, even Lake Bluff, which Shields Township.
We operate out of Waukegan, and the need is just as great in Waukegan. So Waukegan, Zion. We were actually given a statistical chart, a graph of, I guess you would say, of statistics that were the number of people that were living below the poverty level that lived in Lake County.
Okay.
And 35% of the people that were living in Lake County were below the poverty level.
35% of the people in Lake County.
No, 35%. People that were living 35% below the poverty level.
Okay, I get you.
Were living in Waukegan, Zion, and North Chicago.
Okay.
And so those were the major areas that we were trying to focus on. And but there were 25% people that were living 25%, between 25% and 35%,
okay,
were living in areas like Round Lake, Grays Lake, and so on, those communities.
This is fantastic. You mentioned about most of your funds come from the ringing of the bells, as we call it. But where do the other funds come from?
We receive some funding from government agencies like
Okay.
emergency food and shelter programs.
Okay.
Department of Human Services. Those funds come in, but they're all based around the governmental approval and
Yes.
when their budget gets approved and when the money gets dispersed and so on. Presently, we had a very good Christmas last year,
Okay.
and where we raised almost we raised over a little bit more than $435,000. Now, you would think that that's a lot of money that we could use a lot of, but because the need is so great, we had to actually stop taking appointments in September because we had no more money left.
Wow.
And so we're scraping to get to Christmas again. I mean, we're starting all our work towards getting out and making this another good Christmas effort. So, and we're waiting for EFSB. We're waiting for the Emergency Food and Shelter Program to come in, and it's there. It's just that we haven't had a meeting to distribute the funds.
Captain Holdman, I'm just aware, and a lot of other people are aware, Salvation Army. But I heard you speak at our North Chicago Rotary Club, promulgating information, about the Salvation Army. And I guess you were invited by our president, probably, Leo Malezio. Yeah, he's a fantastic person. And but what other ways do you market Salvation Army?
What are the ways we market the Salvation Army?
Besides the community focus radio program, I guess the newspaper, do you get...
Well, we can do it that way, but we prefer not to spend money in advertising and so on.
Okay.
But when most people hear the Salvation Army, they say, "Oh yeah, we know about them and about their boxes." And
Yeah.
I mean, just as we were coming in, you asked one of the technicians here that. Did you know the Salvation Army? He says, "Oh yeah, we have their box out. We have their box out in the parking lot." But it's much more than. I mean, the Salvation Army is much more than just our drop boxes and our kettles and so on. Matter of fact, the drop boxes are actually they support our thrift stores, which are run by our Adult Rehabilitation Center, which is based on out of Waukegan. That's on Genesee Street in downtown Waukegan. That's a different arm of the Salvation Army. They receive all their funding through the thrift store sales.
Okay.
And the sales from the thrift store goes to support their program because they don't take any government funding.
Now, the new building that you have there, you mentioned south side of Waukegan. Is that a government funded building? The government built the building?
Which one? The one on Genesee or the one on Green Bay?
Genesee.
The one on Genesee, no, is not government funded.
You're fairly new.
It was built by the Salvation Army with funding through, capital funds that they use to build a building there. And yes, presently I think it's housing about 70 men in their facility right now. So.
Okay, so they're housed there. Oh, I didn't know.
The rehab center is based out of the Genesee facility. And those guys, once they go through a certain period of time, they're allowed to go out to the thrift stores and work in the thrift stores and so on as part of their program.
Yeah, Captain Holdman, we had talked about budget and annual requirements, so forth, but people ask, what percentage of the budget go for administrative purposes?
We try to keep it under 10%, which is not much. But we're quite proud of the fact that every gift that we receive, 83 cents out of every gift goes back into meeting the needs of people in the community. So.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. You mentioned about church services, but you have people with different denominations, so how do you handle that?
We have church services. We are evangelical. So we base everything on the Bible, and but with different denominations, what's interesting, and not only different denominations, but different ethnic groups that are in this community. There was one time we sat down, my wife and I, we sat down and counted how many different ethnic groups there were that were attending our church, and we came up with, I think we're up to 15 now. We
Amazing.
have 15 different ethnic groups, and they come from every area of life, I guess. Every financial group, and so we're very blessed to have people of so many different ethnic groups. And
so the Bible speaks to that point. Jesus said, "The poor will be with you always." Now, he didn't say an ethnic group. He said the poor. And so the poor is all groups, right?
Well, I wouldn't say they're all groups. I mean, obviously there are wealthy individuals that come to us, but most of the people that come to our services in the past 5 years have come through our social service office. The employee is also a Salvationist that works as our caseworker. And she's very conscious of the fact that when people come in, that they need more than just to have their needs met. They also need spiritual needs. And so she invites them to come to church on Sunday. She invites them to come to our youth activities on Wednesday. And so it's it's a pretty holistic venture that she does.
Mm-hmm. This is fantastic. Of course, when Christ left the earth, he said, "I'm going to leave you, but I will leave you with a comforter."
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
And so we all need that comforter. The rich, the poor, and all groups. And I mention that because Lake County is one of the wealthiest counties in the state of Illinois and one of the wealthiest counties in the country.
It is.
So why do we have, once we hear the word now around the country about redistribution, so how can we get that redistributed?
I think one way of getting that redistributed is through education and making the needs known to the parts of Lake County that are the wealthiest.
Okay.
You mentioned that Lake County is one of the wealthiest in the country, but also in that statement, North Chicago is one of the, is actually the second, statistics would show that it's the second most impoverished community in the state of Illinois.
East St. Louis, my hometown, the first.
Outside of East St. Louis.
Yeah, there's been a big change there, and of course because of lack of industry, when industry leaves, then the tax rate goes up on the citizens, and of course it's one of the means, but you mentioned education too. Education is the key, right?
It's educating people on, where the need is and how they can participate in meeting that need.
We lean so much on the carnal things, materialistic, but you're teaching the spiritual aspects. And, the scripture tells us that, 70, which is 70 years, but more will be added if you do the things that you're teaching them, and so forth. But just think, and I mention this all the time, but 70 is just a grain of sand compared to eternity.
Right.
And this is what you're teaching them, you're going to live eternally.
Right. But the saving of souls, for eternity, not just for today.
Why is it so difficult to get that across? The rich think they're going to take it with them. I've used analogies all the time that I've never seen a Brinks truck behind a hearse yet.
No.
Or you won't find a U-Haul, but if you find a U-Haul, it will remain there, while you go 6 feet under. But why is it so difficult to people to understand that?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with, it also says in Scripture that, the root of all evil is the love of money. I mean, the love of money is the root.
So money is okay. It's just
money is okay. It's how it's the
love of money.
Yeah, it's how it's treated, I guess. The love of money, yes, is the root of all evil. And, I know I've been in those positions where I've had a lot of money, and guess what? It's if I focus on the money, then I pretty much lose everything.
Yeah, because you just miss.
If I'm not focused on the money and I'm focused more on how can God use this amount of money that I've got available, then it seems to keep lasting. Almost like the loaves and fishes. That God just keeps multiplying and multiplying and multiplying it. And I've said to many people, I said, don't ask me how it works. I just know that it works.
Right.
So when you put your focus on God and not be so focused on, how much money is being raised or how much money we have, when we focus on the things of God, then, store up treasures in heaven. Don't be so concerned about, what you have here.
Right. It is amazing. On your thrift store, how do you get your items?
they just deliver them, or people call us up. They can call 1-800 SA Truck,
Okay.
and that will put you in touch with somebody who will dispatch a truck. But then again, this is a different arm of the Salvation Army that's attached to the Adult Rehabilitation Center. All the thrift stores that are in the area in Lake County, and even as far as McHenry County,
Okay.
Racine, Wisconsin, are all run by the operations out of Waukegan. So.
Okay, so that's just thrift store, just an arm of the
Right.
Salvation Army.
Right. But they're specifically focused on the Adult Rehabilitation Center
Okay.
because, like I said before, they don't take any government funding, so all their rehab programs are run by what they make from the thrift stores.
Well, this is fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're talking with Captain William Holdman, the Salvation Army here in Lake County. And I'm learning right along with you and the audience about the Salvation Army, its mission, goals, objectives, and so forth. But what are some of your short-term and long-term goals, Captain Holdman?
Well, my short-term goals are to have another, like I mentioned, have another successful Christmas campaign as we are gearing up for this Christmas season coming up.
Okay.
And I'd also like to try and meet more needs of more people through our expansion of programs. Many people, we have some youth programming that goes on Wednesday nights, and to where we have anywhere from 40 to 50 kids that come to these programs.
That's fantastic.
And it's youth programs such as character building. We teach kids how to sing music. We teach kids how to play a brass instrument. And but we're to the point to where the building in which we're in is too small. And we can't take any more kids in, even though we'd like to. So we're working on trying to expand our facility at the present time. So as our long-term goal is to be able to complete a facility expansion project, which would add on a 250 seat auditorium that would allow us to do performing arts, concerts and things like that, and then also a 10,000 square foot gymnasium that we could run youth activities and expand on our programs. We'd like to do after school programs and educational programs, teaching. The Hispanic community is really exploding in Waukegan.
Oh, yes.
We would like to offer English as a second language,
Okay.
and also Spanish as a second language, and programs like that. After school programs, day camp, summer day camp programs. We could do, but there would be no space to do them in. So we'd like to expand our facility, and so we're looking for major donors to come alongside us and to help us complete that project.
And if the donor want to contact you, that number or website too?
You can reach us at sawaukegan.org, or send us a check to 850 South Green Bay Road. Or you can call our facility to see how you can better contribute or be part of this expansion program.
Thank you, Captain William Holdman, for taking time for your busy schedule again to let Lake County know about the activities at the Salvation Army. And I'm sure that they'll welcome any donations and any contributions and your volunteers and your presence at the ringing of the bell during Christmas time. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Community Focus. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host.